Hey, it's Irina Pozan, and welcome back to the Career Cravings podcast. This podcast has a simple mission. It's to help ambitious professionals like you build the career and life that you've been craving. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as an HR leader, designed hiring systems, led recruitment teams, and I've sat on the other side of the hiring table. I've seen what works in today's job market, what doesn't, and what separates those good candidates from the ones that actually land their dream roles. Now I'm bringing everything I've learned straight to you. Each episode is packed with actionable insights and tools to help you land your dream role sooner. Now let's dive in. I'm your host, Irina Pozan, and today's episode is for you if you've ever said, maybe I just need to fix my resume one more time, or maybe you've already updated it 3 different times and you're wondering what's missing, or you're scouring the internet for all of those tips on how to create an ATS-friendly version of your resume, but it's still not working. And here's the truth. If you're rewriting your resume over and over and over again, it would have already worked by now if you knew what to do. So today I am breaking down the exact process that I take all of my clients through in creating a resume that gets them incredible results. We're going to deep dive into a case study so that you can do the same. So before we even dive in, I want to demystify that it is not your resume. It is your messaging in your resume. So today I'm going to break down exactly how to shift that so you can start landing those interviews that you've been craving. So what got me thinking about this was I was just recently asked by the HRPA to do a resume clinic session for all of their members. And when I was asked to do this, I was like, amazing. This is what I do day in, day out. But when I had to put it into a 90-minute conversation and presentation on how to do that step by step, it really got me thinking. So I thought I would bring some of those tips here. And for those of you that have been wondering, what's the HRPA? You might want to check them out, especially if you are in Ontario, Canada. But if you're in the US, this is like SHRM. So this is that designation that is looked for and sought after in many regions in Canada. And it's the SHRM equivalent. So I have been personally a member for over a decade, and I remember writing that exam with them. And it's just such a full circle moment to have actually been asked by them to do a resume session with their members, because I've been a member myself for such a long time. So that was incredible. So first, I took a step back and I'm really thinking, what is it that's holding you back? What is at the root of your resume not landing the interviews that you're actually interested in landing? And it comes down to a false belief, which is that I just need to fix my resume one more time. And if you are someone who's looking for an easy fix, that's looking for like that one little tip, changing one little word, finding the perfect template that's going to catch attention. If you're looking for that quick fix, then you're going to be disappointed because it will likely continue to not work and you'll be in the same spot that you are in right now. So if you're listening to this, I don't want you to take that approach. And instead, I want you to really think strategically. So this is for you if you've ever just thought, maybe I'll add a few more keywords. Maybe I'll change the formatting. Maybe you'll Google again, what's an ATS-friendly version? I was actually talking to someone yesterday who walked me through the steps that she's taken with her resume. And I was just blown away. She's like, I looked on Indeed, other HR professional resumes, and then I copied it. And then I was like, let's step back. You don't have any data on if that resume is even working for that person. They literally may be getting less interviews than you are, right? So you want to be using a proven approach that actually works instead of trying to kind of put it all together in a Frankenstein strategy, not really know which pieces fit and just taking random tips from here and there and hoping it'll work. But the thing is, each time you test a new resume, it can take like 3 to 4 weeks to test that version. So what happens is, if you're going back and changing one thing and 2 things and 3 things without actually knowing the core of what's not working, that is how you end up searching for months and months, like 8 months, 9 months, 10 months for a role without success. And that ends up burning you out. So what I want you to do is actually go back to the drawing board strategically, know what to do so that that doesn't happen to you. Let me show you what this actually looks like in action. So I'm going to break it down with a real story because we love a real good transformation. And I'm going to break down a client story, my client Sakshi. When she came to me before the strategic approach, she was doing all of the things that I just mentioned. She thought maybe one more tweak to the resume, another month, another couple, 3 weeks. She was testing all these different things. Nothing was working. And I want to walk you through exactly what we did step by step so that you can apply this process as well. Where she was at, or we connected, was that she had not had a single interview in 6 months, which is really, really tough because she was doing all of the things. She was updating her resume. She was applying every day. It was taking so much time. It was taking a toll on her confidence. And she thought it was the market, right? Like so many people do. By the way, if you haven't listened to the series on the 5 biggest mistakes, this is your cue to do that after this episode. And she just thought it's the market. She's like, this is normal. Like, I guess it's going to take another 6 months to try to land an interview. But the problem with that thinking is that it's very short-sighted. And she started thinking it was her because her confidence was taking a hit and she thought maybe she didn't have enough experience yet. So my signature resume transformation process, this is what I take every single client through always, is built for that individual. So it's not cookie cutter, but we use data. So let me break down what this actually looks like step by step. So Sakshi joined HR Star and we were starting her resume transformation. We didn't magically add any new credentials. She didn't get any new experiences. We didn't stuff her resume with more keywords. But what changed was all of the messaging and positioning, and it used data to know what is working in today's market. So what we did was together rewrite her entire resume. So I know for those of you thinking that you're here and you want that quick fix, that number one little tip that's just going to change everything, that's not realistic. And I want to be real with you. So what it took was literally starting from scratch. She had a lot of data. She had 6 months worth of information saying that her old resume didn't work. So many people, they take a resume that's not working and they slap it into ChatGPT and they think it's going to work, but garbage in is garbage out. And there's a process to go through to really distill the right information about your profile, which comes down to your personal branding that will change everything in your resume response rate. So what we did in literally one session, this is what I do with everyone, we rewrote it to highlight what she delivered and not just what she did. So I'll break down what that looks like in more detail in this episode. And we really started from scratch. We knew the old way wasn't working, so that was not what we were going to start with. And instead, what she started with is a bank of resumes. So what I've done is I've literally helped hundreds of people at this point. I've taken the most best performing resumes that we literally wrote together from scratch, and I put them into a huge database that everyone has access to when they join my coaching programs. And you literally drag and drop from things that are actually working, and then we meet together and we position it based on your branding. So the messaging behind the resume changes. So we went through it in detail. I read every word. We switched everything up. What she ended up with was a brand new resume through the resume transformation. And there were so many shifts that took place. And I'm going to walk you through what some of the biggest misconceptions are in resumes that I see so that you can apply them yourself as well. But the craziest thing happened. We had her resume transformation, right? And the next day I had my HR Star group coaching call. So what ended up happening was we revamped her resume 24 hours prior to the call. The next day we get on a call together and she's like, I have 3 interviews. And I almost fell out of my chair. So I actually recorded that moment because I was like in full disbelief, and I shared it on my Instagram as well, which I'll link here. But I'm like, wait, what? You haven't booked an interview in 6 months, and now in 24 hours, you've now booked 3 interviews. And those organizations are extremely well known and sought after as well. So I was just so happy, so thrilled. It does not always happen that quickly and that intensely of a transformation, right? It often takes a little while to hear back from employers, but she heard back 3 times within 24 hours, which is the craziest thing. So keep in mind, that she had the same experience, but new messaging. And this is possible for you too. So after she landed those 3 interviews, of course, you can imagine that things went super quickly from there, which was incredible. And then she was prepared to go to those interviews and know what to say with her custom pitch and have all the interview strategies as well. But I want to be blunt. Managers don't hire resumes. They hire the results behind it. And it takes a really strategic mindset to step back and think, what are those experiences that I want to include from scratch? So if I'm putting you in the mindset of a hiring manager or a recruiter, they're scanning your resume for a couple of seconds. Maybe they're giving it 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and they're scanning it to answer these questions. Can this person solve our problems? They're not looking for like the most educated, like PhD, all of the certifications. They're literally thinking, can this person solve our problems? Some indications of you being the person that can solve the problem are that you've done tasks that are similar before. You've created value you've delivered value that is similar to the role that they have. And that will make you a low risk and high impact hire. So those are the things that they're checking off their list. So when you think of a job description, it will have things on it. This is what the hiring manager and recruiter are looking for in your resume. So they're not often looking for the most qualified person. They're literally thinking, who's the lowest risk hire? And those are the people I want to speak to. Can this person solve our problems? Can they deliver value? And you have to prove that for the type of role that you're going for. And that often takes a very different communication technique that gets you those results that we're talking about that Sakshi got as well. So here is one of the biggest things. And again, this is a very one-on-one customizable process that I take with my clients. And it's hard to know what that thing is. But with going through thousands of resumes in my career, I can pinpoint exactly the reasons why your resume is not being screened in. And that's what we work on changing. So it really is dependent on the individual. But here's what I see most commonly. So if you're getting ghosted after applying, chances are that your resume is probably focused on the duties, the tasks, the soft skills, and you may have keywords just dropped all throughout. Maybe you even have a section for those keywords that you think you should be including without results to say, this is how you've received incredible results in those areas before. So that's what I see the most. The biggest shift and people think that they're doing this. This is the thing. So I want you to take a step back. And here's a test that you can audit right now in real time, or whatever you stop driving or walking, or, whatever it is that you're doing right now, folding laundry, doing the dishes. You could take a step back and do an audit. I want you to think about pulling up your resume and pulling out one of the points on it. Now, does that signal that you would be able to do your target job incredibly well? Or is this more of a task or duty that you've had before? That's a really, really big difference. So if your resume is actually looking more like a job description, it's likely missing outcomes, results, and clear proof of your value. So this is the audit. Open your resume, look at each bullet, pull out one to start, and ask yourself, is it possible that the other 500 people applying for this role also have this exact line in their resume? If so, that's not showing your unique value. You really need to take a step back and understand your brand and understand why are you perfect for the type of role that you're applying for. So I'm often replacing things that say responsible for onboarding to something that really signifies an accomplishment, a top accomplishment from your career. And then it would sound something like maybe streamlining onboarding across 3 different teams and cutting the new hire roadmap by 40%. So there's a huge difference. And it's also knowing which points to put on your resume that are going to match the majority of the job descriptions that you apply to, so that you no longer have to change your resume each time you apply for a role. I mean, if you've been here long enough, you know that is not something I ever condone. It's not even something that's effective or that's going to help you. What you really need to start with is the end in mind. So first, identify the target role you're going for, the broad category of it. It doesn't have to be a specific role, but the level at which you're going for, the type of role that you're going for. And what are like 90% of those types of roles looking for? And how can you prove that you can do it from past experiences? Now, I know mindset also plays into this. And I know many people that I speak to, when we start drafting their resume, they're like, I never thought of that. I'm like, yes, because your confidence was shot, right? So I can look from a fresh perspective and really see the things that make you unique. And that's where we go all in and focus on, because your resume is a mirror to your mindset. And if your mindset right now is a little bit shaky, maybe you're not super confident because you haven't been hearing back much, then your resume is going to be a mirror for that. And if you're also unclear about your branding, your positioning in the market, maybe you're underselling what you've done, that's really what it comes down to most of the time. It does show up in the resume and it does get skipped over continually. And if you go in with the same approach you've used before, then guess what? You're going to continue to get the exact same results you've received before as well. And that will take months and months away from you where you could have already been working in your dream target role. Okay. Messaging. This really comes down to owning your value, understanding your personal brand, understanding how you are positioned differently than the others applying for that role in this market. And it's not a simple, oh, like maybe it's my font. Maybe it's the resume template. It's really going back and thinking about the bigger picture from the very onset and making sure that a hiring manager, when they're thinking, what can this person do for us? Has this person delivered results that I care about before? Can they own this role from day one? And getting them to a place of yes, like this person can do the job. They're not going to be someone who is like very difficult to onboard because they've done similar things before and they have a track record of success. And blending in with everyone else in today's job market will not work because everyone's doing the same things that you have probably tried. So it does take a different approach to get a different result. And that's what happened with Sakshi. We really started from scratch, took a step back at her target role, what makes her a unique match for that target role, and going in, all in on that. So I want to give you an analogy. So you may not see me right now, but I want to give you an analogy that is visual. So I want you to picture from school a Venn diagram. So this is like picture one huge circle, another huge circle, and where they overlap. Okay. And where they overlap in the middle, that is what I want you to focus on. So the one big circle on the left is you, what you've done so far, what you've done in your career. And most people that I work with really focus on them, but that won't get you hired. The next circle is the target role. What does that look like? What are the things they want you to achieve? And then where that Venn diagram meets in the middle, that sweet spot where those two circles overlap, that is what you have to focus on in your positioning, in your resume, but so far beyond that, in your personal branding, in your LinkedIn, in your interviews. That's the sweet spot that's going to make you stand out. But this is an exercise that many people don't do. But you're here. So I want you to do this. I want you to literally, when you have a moment, when you're out driving or walking, I want you to pull out a paper, draw two huge circles. In one, write me, and in the next, write target job. Okay. And then list the things that make you unique, that overlap between those two in this picture. And you're going to get a much clearer picture of what those things are. Now, if layered on top of that, you also had data to know which resumes are getting callback rates, just like Sakshi, and actually being able to use that and drag and drop and be able to really know where you're focused on, and then taking points that are actually proven to work. That is where you see the huge transformation like we've been talking about today. And that's exactly what I want for you as well. Resumes with a clear value message to their target role are the ones that get noticed in this market without the noise. And it's not an easy hack. It's not like 5 resume hacks that will get you hired in 2 minutes, right? If you're looking for that quick fix, I'm just going to be blunt. It's not going to be the thing that changes your job search. So if you're stuck and you're doing this Venn diagram, I want you to ask a couple of key questions. I want you to ask for that circle on the right about your target role. What are the business problems they're hiring you to solve in that type of target role? Go all in on that. What are they looking for? Look at job descriptions for clues. Next, what do people thank me for at work? What have I done? What are my biggest moments in my career that I'm the most proud of? How do I know that I am the best person for this job? Write that all down. Where they intersect is where that's the gold. That's where you're going to focus on. That's your value. It's your value proposition. And this is what I love to create with my clients so much because it changes everything. Just like Sakshi from 6 months applying every single day with 0 interviews to 3 interviews with her dream organizations within 24 hours. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So inside of HR Star, you've probably heard of, if you've been following me for some time, a ton of testimonials just like this. And we position you as the no-brainer hire. And this is the process that we start with. You are aligned to the roles that you actually want. You don't need a resume that you're rewriting for each and every posting. You can get interviews in days and not months, just like we've heard about. And it doesn't start with a template. It actually starts with your value, your worth, how you see yourself in the market. And from there, once we have that as the foundation, this is how we build the pitch, the resume, your brand, your interview confidence, all around that. And that's why the process works so well, because it's not your resume. It is your messaging. And it is so critical. In the past, you could get away with just like the 5 hacks on a resume to get interviews because it was a different job market. But to actually stand out today, it looks very, very different. This will also come into play with networking. Like if you're wondering why some of your LinkedIn messages are going unread and people are not responding, you're being ghosted, it's a lot more than just your resume, right? It actually goes back to your value statement, your brand, who you are, how you can solve that problem. And the people that get it right, these are the people that get hired fast. Here's your challenge this week. First, stop rewriting your resume without a strategy. Just stop it. Do that Venn diagram exercise. This is where you're going to get clear about why you are positioned as the best hire for the type of role that you're targeting. And you don't need to know all of the details of the role. You don't need to go super specific, just high level. Look at the type of role that you're being hired for, like a manager of finance. 90% of roles are going to look for similar things. So I want you to focus there. And if you're not sure how to do that, then of course I'm going to support you further. So I have a free resume guide that is linked in the show notes. But if you want to take things a step further and really get fired up about the 4-step process that I teach to landing a role in 90 days or less, I have also linked my brand new masterclass in the show notes for you. Super important for you to watch this to really know how to save months and months and months in your search. And I lay out not only the resume piece, but it goes so far beyond that to each and every one of the 4 steps and 4 shifts you need to make to land your target role so much faster than the average market, because the average market today is taking 9 months. And I definitely don't want that for you. It does all start with your resume, but strategically really stepping back and seeing how you are a fit for that role more than anything. So again, to take the next step, I want you to take action. There's a couple things that I want you to do. 1, do the exercises and the homework that we just talked about in this episode from the Venn diagram. 2, go into the show notes, literally just swipe up in this episode and watch the free training because it's going to save you months in your search. You can also, as a bonus, download my free resume guide, which is also in the show notes, which you already know that I recently just revamped. And remember, your next offer, it's not about working harder. It's not about putting the right word on your resume that's just going to change everything overnight. That's not realistic. It's really that strategic approach. And then pairing that with data of what is actually working in today's market and using that to fuel your search, and everything will change. So it all starts with your resume. Also, if you found this episode valuable, if you even took away one nugget or one thing that you're going to do next, I want you to rate and review this podcast and send me a screenshot of it, because I will enter you in a contest to win a one-on-one coaching session with me, which of course can include the resume transformation as well. See you in the next episode. Hey, before you go, if you've enjoyed listening to today's show, I would love your support. Please take a moment to leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And here's the exciting part. I'm running a special contest and giving away a one-on-one session with yours truly. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to me in my DMs. All of my contact info is in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to build the career and life that you've been craving together. See you next week.